are listening to It's Later Than You Think. Today is Tuesday, December 31st, also known as New Year's Eve. And if you're anything like me and everyone else that you talk to, you are shocked that it's already the last day of the year. Where did the time go? This year flew by. We say that every year. And every year it's probably true. Time does fly. Sometimes when you're having fun, other times when you're just hanging out. And that's just how life is. Part of our main focus with this podcast is to making sure we are enjoying the ride, taking some moments to look around, to enjoy what we've got, and to take advantage of the moments that we do have here on Earth. Our episode today is going to focus on a little thing you may have heard of before, New Year's resolution. If you're rolling your eyes and you're thinking, I don't make resolutions, they never work, or I never follow through with them, I'm hoping that you can change that mindset by the time we finish up today. My thought is that not having a resolution, not having some goals to achieve in your life is a mistake. We're going to talk about the types of goals, types of resolutions that are better ideas than others, and why that is. The reason that most people fail to achieve their New Year's resolutions is they're thinking too big a picture. They might throw out a large number that they want to hit on the scale. They might think about how they want to make X amount more money, but that's all they really do. They throw that idea out there and they don't have a plan about how they're going to achieve that. If you were around for the first episode, I discussed my 2024 New Year's resolution, which was to get comfortable being uncomfortable. Now, when I first created that, I mentioned I didn't know what that looked like. So that wasn't a good start for me. However, I knew that I was going to be able to find some things throughout the year. And I spread them out. As I mentioned, I took ice skating lessons. I joined a social tennis league. I kicked alcohol to the curb. And I started a podcast. During this episode, we're going to be looking at some unusual alternatives to traditional New Year's resolutions, as well as why non-traditional New Year's resolutions might be a better idea. According to a Psychology Today article, some unusual alternatives to those resolutions include choosing a short motto or nudge word to guide you. For example, your motto for the year might be excellence, not perfection. It could be any amount of exercise is better than none, or even keep calm and carry on. These are good little phrases to remind yourself on a day-to-day basis when things are happening around you and you're starting to get stressed out a little bit. Specifically that first one, excellence, not perfection. You can try to be as good as you can, but you're never going to be perfect. The second option includes create a to-don't list for the new year. That could include not automatically saying yes to a request. Use the time-honored words, I'll think about it and get back to you. Now, this is a lot easier to do with text messaging in the society that we live in now. You don't have to respond to texts right away. Turn off your read receipt, first of all, if you have an iPhone. Second, take some time and think about if someone has asked a favor of you. Now, it is good to be helpful and help people out when they're in a jam, but there's times that you may not be available or you're overwhelmed. You want to just hang out. Then get back to that person in a reasonable time and say, hey, thanks for the invite, or appreciate you asking me. However, whatever you need to say there. Another part of that is to don't schedule more than one appointment or event per day. I like this one. I am more of an ambivert, I would say, a little bit extrovert, a little bit introverted. And there's times where I want to go do something, but I also want to stay in. And making sure my calendar is busy but not overwhelming works really well for me. And the last thought with creating a to-don't list includes don't feel obligated to finish a book or article that you aren't enjoying. I learned this last year. I really liked it. I don't recall where I read it from, but there's a good strategy when you're reading a book and you're not quite sure about it. You take the number 100 minus your age. That is how many pages you should read. And once you get to that page, if you're not loving the book, just quit reading. Life is way too short to sludge through a 400 some page book that you absolutely are not feeling at all. I would use that one if I were you. Another option, make a 1 month resolution. You can use the idea to start, let's say dry January. That could be a way to model a habit change. But maybe you do something a little bit different. You want to do jogging January, journaling January. Giving your desired change its own month and name adds an element of fun and also reduces the pressure to succeed long term. I mean, it's a creative idea. Just focus on 1 month rather than looking at the big picture and the whole year of what you want to do. Do 1 month. The fourth option, and this is something similar along those same lines, make a series of 1 month resolutions. Instead of one single New Year's resolution, consider making a series of new month's resolutions. This could be a plan for tackling a bunch of different tasks throughout the year. And they don't have to be, any huge, massive goal at all. It could be something like decluttering your desk. Again, you're not doing the whole house. You're just taking one piece of furniture and organizing it. A couple examples I have already set out for next year. January, I am going to attend NA Fest and learn more about alternate beverages since I no longer partake in the alcoholic variety. In February, I'm going to make sure I knock out my taxes. Yes, they're not due till April, but I do not want to wait till the last minute. I'm usually really good about getting them done early. But this is, again, something I don't have to stress about. I know I'm going to do them, but making sure I have it written down as a goal is another way to, again, kind of boost that, give you that dopamine boost when you do something, when you take care of a task. Speaking of that little feeling, think about a quote by Jerry Seinfeld, and this may have been mentioned in the book Atomic Habits, if I'm not mistaken. But Jerry Seinfeld years ago had a quote regarding continuing the chain. So his goal is to write a new joke every day, just to keep himself fresh and come up with new content. And so he had put some sort of calendar on the wall, and every day that he wrote his joke, he put a big X through that day. And the idea is that you want to continue the chain. You don't want to break the chain. So that little X that you make each day or each time you finish a task is that internal motivation, that intrinsic motivation that you get from completing those. The fifth option is try the mini goal approach. Also a very smart idea. We talked about this already, but the whole massive goal of something you're thinking about and it's a burden on you the whole year, such as I want to lose 20 pounds, at times that can seem like the go big or go home approach. And at my age, if someone were to tell me go big or go home, I am probably going to be going home. That sounds like a much better option. For many people, going big can work great. However, for others, that type of attitude can be self-defeating. People get discouraged and they give up if they try to do too much too soon and aren't seeing the results. As an alternative, you could consider diving into your big goals and breaking them up into small, specific mini goals. So, for example, if your goal is to exercise for health, you could start with 10 minutes of walking a few days a week. And stick with that. You can add additional time and distances as the months go on. And last of the options for the alternatives to traditional New Year's resolutions includes bringing more healthy pleasures into your life. You could get a regular massage, manicure, pedicure, read more books. You can go on Goodreads and set your goal for the year. You could go to an event every month. Maybe it's a art gallery or a maker's market. We're now going to take a look at why non-traditional New Year's resolutions might be a better idea. I found this article on Medium, and the author of this article wrote a New Year's resolution for the last 10 years running or so, and at the end of each year updates the reader with how things have gone. They rank them out of 10, how successful they were, how attainable it ended up being. And I really liked a lot of these ideas that the author shared, and I would like to share a few of those with you. The first one being, remember people's names. I like this one. This is because a lot of people struggle with this. There's definitely some strategies you can look up online. When you initially hear a name, just repeat it in your head over and over, a handful of times. You can also do some sort of association, something that reminds you of what they were wearing the first time you met them, something their name might rhyme with or sound like, just to name a few suggestions. Another resolution is transparency, saying no. This is similar to the to-don't list we talked about earlier, but don't be afraid to say no. If you're not feeling like doing something, you don't have to out of guilt. Now, you don't want to be a negative person all day, every day, all year long. However, if your social battery is running low or you've already got something else going on and you don't want to add another plan on top of something, you can just say, no thanks. You can give reasons or you don't even have to. Another resolution the author did one year was to listen more than talk. Great life skill to have. Easier said than done. But this is something I've practiced over the last few years, is being a better listener. I facilitate a course called Effective Communication, and I've learned some tips based on that. And it can be challenging at times. But the one story I talk about the one example I give in the training is how you want to be active listening. So when someone is talking, rather than formulating what you're going to say next, give them your full attention. And if you need to take a second or two after they're done talking to respond, that's okay. Aside from having serious conversations where you might need some time to just, let those words marinate a bit and give yourself time to respond, I'm talking more of when you're swapping stories and you're so excited to tell that person something that you can relate to, that you kind of overpower the thing that they were sharing with you to begin with. A couple more resolutions I think are a little unusual, but again, they can be strong and you can be successful with these, including taking the stairs. Love it. Get some more fitness in your life. Get some more steps in your day. Now, if you have an apartment that you live maybe higher than, let's say, the 4th or 5th story, maybe that's not something you want to do every day. Or if your office is on the 30th story of your building. But when you have the opportunity, when I go into the office, my office is on the 2nd floor. I take the stairs every time. It's a very steep stairway, and I'm usually huffing and puffing by the time I get to the top, but I always feel good when I get there. And then plus the way down is way easier. The last one I want to talk about is task minimalism. And that's basically coming up with one priority. What does that look like exactly? So how this works, each and every day, you're going to have one task that you need to get completed. Now, there's going to be days where you have multiple things to do, and maybe you get to all of them, maybe you don't. But if you can take care of one task, I assure you, when you lay your head down at night, you should feel proud. You might have to do laundry, to do the dishes, to take the garbage out, to cut the grass, to go change the oil in your car. You're probably not going to be able to get all those done in one day if it's 8 p.m. at night. But if you can knock out one thing, then at least that's another check. That's a cross off the list. And you should feel good about that. The next day you can either revamp your list or think about something else that popped up that you need to take care of that's more of a priority. Today we've looked at some unusual and non-traditional New Year's resolutions. And when you're finished listening today, I want you to think about what your plan is for the upcoming year. Do you want to have a bunch of small resolutions? Do you want to plan as you go? Maybe knock out thinking about the first 2-3 months and see how things go? As our friend Benjamin Franklin said, by failing to prepare, you are preparing to fail. These New Year's resolutions don't need to stress you out. You don't need to go big or go home. Come up with something that's going to make you feel good, that it's attainable. And when you look back on December 31st, 2025, you'll have something that you can feel proud of. I will include the links to the articles I stated in the show notes. I want to wish everyone a happy new year. I think 2025 is going to be the best year yet, if you haven't heard that one before. Be safe out there tonight. Take public transportation. Get your Uber, get your Lyft. Get home safe so that you can listen to the episode next week. Take care, and remember, life is short, just like this podcast.